Hello everyone, and welcome to the Scary Story channel. Tonight, I have a tale for you that will make you think twice about the little trinkets you bring into your home. It's a story about a candle, but not just any candle. This one held a secret, a dark and hungry secret. It all started for a young woman named Clara. She was an avid collector of antiques, always scouring flea markets and dusty old shops for unique finds. Her apartment was a testament to her hobby, a curated museum of forgotten treasures. One rainy Saturday, she stumbled upon a small, tucked-away shop she'd never noticed before. The sign above the door was faded, simply reading "Curiosities." Intrigued, she pushed open the creaky door, a small bell announcing her arrival. The shop was crammed from floor to ceiling with objects of every kind. The air was thick with the scent of old paper, dust, and something else. Something faintly sweet like wilting flowers. An elderly man, with eyes that seemed to hold 1,000 stories, greeted her from behind a cluttered counter. Clara browsed for nearly an hour, her fingers tracing the history etched into each item. Just as she was about to leave, something caught her eye. Tucked away on a high shelf, almost hidden behind a stack of leather-bound books, was a candle. It was unlike anything she had ever seen. The wax was a deep, swirling black, shot through with veins of a dark crimson red. The holder was ornate, made of a tarnished heavy metal that felt oddly warm to the touch. It was carved with strange, unfamiliar symbols. There was no price tag. When she asked the old shopkeeper about it, his friendly demeanor vanished. A shadow crossed his face. He told her it wasn't for sale, that it was a personal item. But Clara was persistent. She had a knack for haggling and a charm that was hard to resist. She offered him a generous price, far more than such an object should be worth. He hesitated, his eyes darting from Clara to the candle and back again. Finally, with a heavy sigh, he relented. "Just be careful with it," he warned, his voice a low whisper. "Some things are better left unlit." Clara dismissed his warning as the ramblings of an eccentric old man. She was thrilled with her new acquisition. Back in her apartment, she placed the candle on her mantelpiece, where it immediately became the focal point of the room. It had a strange beauty, both elegant and menacing. For a few days, she just admired it. But her curiosity grew. What would it look like when lit? The shopkeeper's words echoed in her mind, but she brushed them aside. It was just a candle, after all. One evening, a storm was raging outside. The power flickered and died, plunging her apartment into darkness. It seemed like the perfect opportunity. Fumbling for matches, she approached the mantelpiece. Her hands trembled slightly as she struck a match. The flame sputtered to life, casting dancing shadows on the walls. She brought the tiny flame to the wick. The candle didn't just light, it seemed to inhale the flame, which instantly flared up into a tall, unnaturally steady crimson fire. It didn't flicker or dance with the drafts in the room. It burned with a solid, unwavering intensity. The light it cast was strange, not the warm, comforting glow of a normal candle. It bathed the room in a deep, pulsating red light, making familiar objects look alien and distorted. The shadows it created were long and sharp, seeming to twist and writhe in the corners of her vision. And then there was the scent. It wasn't wax or perfume. It was a coppery, metallic smell, faint at first, but growing stronger. It was the smell of old blood. A shiver traced its way down Clara's spine. She felt a sudden, inexplicable wave of sadness wash over her, a profound sense of loss and grief that wasn't her own. It was so overwhelming that tears pricked her eyes. She felt a presence in the room, a heavy, sorrowful energy that seemed to emanate from the candle's crimson flame. Shaken, she quickly blew out the candle. The room was plunged back into darkness, but the oppressive feeling lingered. The scent of blood remained in the air. She tried to tell herself it was just her imagination, the strange light playing tricks on her mind, but she couldn't shake the feeling of deep unease. She slept poorly that night, her dreams filled with shadowy figures and whispers she couldn't quite understand. The next day, she tried to forget about it. She put the candle away, hiding it in a drawer, but she couldn't ignore the changes in her apartment. A cold spot had developed in the living room, right where the candle had been. Sometimes, out of the corner of her eye, she would see a flicker of movement, a dark shape darting just out of sight. Objects would move on their own, a book falling from a shelf, a door creaking open. At night she would hear soft weeping, a sound so full of despair it made her heart ache. Clara was a rational person, but she couldn't deny what was happening. Her beautiful apartment, her sanctuary, had become a place of fear. The joy she once took in her collection had turned to dread. Every antique seemed to watch her with unseen eyes. She grew withdrawn and paranoid, jumping at every little sound. Her friends noticed the change, the dark circles under her eyes, the way she was constantly looking over her shoulder. Desperate, she decided she had to get rid of the candle. She took it from the drawer, its cold, heavy weight feeling sinister in her hands. She decided to go back to the shop, to return it, to demand answers from the old man. But when she arrived at the street where the shop had been, it was gone. In its place was a derelict, boarded-up building that looked like it had been abandoned for decades. There was no sign that a curiosities shop had ever existed there. Panic began to set in. How was this possible? Was she losing her mind? She tried to throw the candle away, tossing it into a public dumpster. She felt a sense of relief as she walked away, but it was short-lived. That evening, when she returned to her apartment, it was there, sitting on her doorstep, waiting for her. The terror was absolute now. This thing, whatever it was attached to her. She tried everything. She buried it in a park, but it reappeared on her nightstand the next morning. She tried breaking it, but the metal holder wouldn't bend or scratch, and the black wax was as hard as stone. Each failed attempt only seemed to make the presence in her apartment stronger. The weeping turned into angry whispers, and the fleeting shadows became more defined, more menacing. One night she woke up to the smell of the candle burning. She hadn't lit it. She crept out of her bedroom, her heart pounding against her ribs. In the living room, the candle was on the mantelpiece, its crimson flame burning brightly, casting the room in its hellish glow. And in the center of the room stood a figure, a tall, slender woman, made of shadow. Her form indistinct and wavering. Her head was bowed, and Clara could hear the heart-wrenching sobs she'd been hearing for weeks. As Clara watched, frozen in fear, the shadowy figure slowly raised its head. It had no face, just a smooth, dark void, but Clara felt its gaze, a look of infinite sorrow and a terrifying, bottomless hunger. The figure drifted towards her, its wispy hands outstretched. The air grew impossibly cold. The whispers in the room rose to a cacophony, speaking a name over and over again, a name that wasn't hers. Clara finally broke free from her paralysis. She screamed and ran, not to her bedroom, but straight for the candle. She knew, with a certainty that defied logic, that the candle was the source. It was a beacon, an anchor for this entity. She grabbed the ornate holder. It was searing hot, but she didn't care. With a final, desperate cry, she hurled it against the brick of the fireplace. This time, it shattered. The metal holder broke into a dozen pieces, and the black wax crumbled into dust. The crimson flame didn't just go out. It exploded in a flash of blinding white light, followed by a concussive force that threw Clara across the room. A single agonizing shriek, not human, echoed through the apartment. And then silence. When Clara came to, the first thing she noticed was the warmth. The oppressive cold was gone. The air was clear, free of the coppery scent and the heavy sorrow. The shadows were just shadows again. The presence was gone. She was alone. Truly alone for the first time in weeks. Clara moved out of the apartment the very next day. She left everything behind. Her entire collection of antiques, the furniture, the books. She walked away with nothing but the clothes on her back and a newfound fear of the past. She learned a hard lesson that day. Some objects carry more than just history. Some carry echoes of pain, of sorrow, and of things that still hunger from beyond the veil. And sometimes, when you light a candle, you don't know what you might be inviting into the darkness. Thank you for listening. If this story sent a chill down your spine, be sure to hit that like button. and subscribe to the Scary Story channel for more tales from the shadows. Stay safe and always be wary of the curiosities you bring home.